If you like my dad's videos, please subscribe to QA Insights channel.
Hi, welcome back. Almost 9 to 10 months ago, I have posted a video about distributed load testing on AWS. So that was the inception version of this particular framework introduced by AWS team, where you can run your load test using your own AWS infrastructure. So during the inception version, you can just run the test using the URL, but in the latest version, which is 1.1.0, where you can upload the JMeter file and you can run the load test. So in the GitHub repository, I have mentioned this feature request. As you see, in November 20th, 2019, I have requested it, but only almost it took 10 months to develop this feature and implement in the latest version of this particular framework. So if you go to this link, you can understand the framework, how it works. So we are going to see very high level stuff, how it works, and then we will see how to implement the solution using the template, and we can upload a simple JMeter script, and we will see how it displays the results in the web console. So as you see, there are 4 main components in this framework. One is the front end load testing API, and back end, and the load testing engine. So in the front end, again, there are 2 components, and the back end, again, there are 2 components. So in the front end, it is powered by CloudFront, where it will serve the static files, CDN stuffs, everything will be served from the CloudFront, and all the objects will be stored in the S3 buckets. And Amplify is the framework where you can develop the front end or mobile front end using the AWS Amplify framework. And whenever you upload a file, what will happen is it will get stored in the S3, and using the Amazon API gateway, it will trigger the AWS Lambda function, and all the stuffs will be secured. No one can access your own console or your objects. No one can access unless they have the privilege. So those will be controlled by IAM and the Cognito. And whenever a new file gets uploaded, it will get stored in S3. And what will happen is in the back end, whenever you click on start, or whenever you click on submit, whenever you want to kick off some test, what will happen is the Docker image, the Taurus Docker image, will get downloaded to S3 bucket, and it uses the code pipeline and code builder to extract the Docker container, and it will run certain instructions, and then everything will be controlled. All the load testing part will be controlled by the step functions, here AWS Lambda, and the containers, the task runners will be available, where you can see in the AWS Fargate. So these Docker container will get registered to ACR, and it will interact with the task runner ECS using the step functions, and AWS Fargate, within the AWS Fargate, it will run the Docker containers. So basically you can simulate up to 10,000 concurrent requests. So this is the maximum limit you can simulate, and you can implement this particular framework only in the certain regions, where all the components must accompany the particular region specific features. So if you have a mismatch, then if you have the region which is not compatible with any of the features, then it will not work. So manually doing this particular task is very tedious. So that is why the AWS team has released the template, where you can just trigger the template, and everything will be taken care in the backend for you. So all the scenarios and all the results will be available in S3 and DynamoDB, and CloudWatch will display the logs, it will display the graphs, and also you can see the results in the front end as well. And at any point of time, I think you can run only one test. So that is another limitation. And you can control all the user management in the Cognito and IAM. So that is another thing you can manage. So it is not a completely full-fledged solution as similar to other JMeter on cloud like BlazeMeter or Lane 13, but you can implement this and then you can integrate with your existing stuffs if you are using AWS in your project. Okay, now let's jumpstart with respect to implementing this using the template available. So if you go to this page, aws.amazon.com, I can share the link. So there you can see cloud formation template. So just click on this link and then you can see the template file. You can download and then you can open, or what you can do is you can launch the particular template in the cloud formation. So what we can do is just click on it. So it is not opening up. So what we can do is launch in the AWS console. Just click on this launch in the AWS console. This will launch the template in your cloud formation, and make sure you are in the right region. Whichever is closest to you, you can select. So for me, it would be US East Ohio. So I'm just going to select that particular region, and you can leave the default S3 URL. And by default, you will be sharing a lot of information with the AWS, but you can turn it off, but you have to edit the template. But I'm going to let it the default values to trigger. So just click on next. So here you have to enter two things. One is the admin username and the admin email ID. So in the email ID only, you will get the credentials for the very first time, and you need to mention the admin username as well. So here let us use JMeter admin, and in the email I'm going to mention my email ID, and rest you can keep everything default and hit next. So before that we have to enter the stack name here. So stack name we can create, say JMeter on AWS. Okay, so just hit next and leave everything default and hit next again. And here you can see the cost estimation is not available. So whenever you are done, you can just delete the stack. So just check this box, I acknowledge, and click on create stack. So once you click on create stack, what will happen is in the backend, it will deploy all the resources which is required to implement this framework will be done for you automatically. So I think it will take around 10 to 15 minutes to set up everything for you. So once the stack is created, you will get an email to the registered email address where you will get the username and the password and the URL to launch. So let me fast forward this video so that we can save some time, and we will come back once I get the credentials. Okay, now I have got the email from the AWS where you can see the username, password, and the console link. So let us click on this link, and let us copy the username, and let us copy the password and hit sign in. And it will prompt you to enter a new password. So let me generate a new password and hit change. Okay, now this is your web console. As you see at the top left, you can see the dashboard link, and there is a link to create a test. And at the top right, you have a sign out, and you have just only one button to refresh your test, so that you will see the latest statistics when the test is running. So let me create a test. Click on create a test, and here we can give some name, say pet store, and sample pet store JMeter script. Okay, so here we have to mention how many Docker containers we would like to execute. So the maximum value is 100. So let us go with 2, and let us go with concurrency, say 5 virtual users, and ramp up of 10, say 30 seconds, and hold for say can say 3 minutes. And in the scenario type, instead of simple test, we have to select JMeter, and we have to upload the JMeter file. So before that, let us quickly go to the sample JMeter file which I created. So as you see, there are 3 transactions here: a launching the pet store, and launching the home page, and giving a search. Here, as you see, the search transaction is the keyword value is getting fetched from the CSV test data file. But in the solution, there is no way to upload your CSV dataset. So you cannot utilize the script which has the third-party dependencies or third-party scripts like CSV dataset config or any other stuff. So only you can upload the vanilla JMeter script without any dependencies like plugins or jars or CSV dataset config or properties. So nothing is possible right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disable this particular transaction, and I'm going to disable the view results tree. I'm going to disable the CSV dataset config. So let us hit save, and to debug, what we can do is we can just enable the view results tree and hit run, just to make sure everything is working fine or not. So everything is green, so we are good. So let me stop the test, and let me disable this and hit save again, and go to the web console and click on browse, and go to the page where the script is located. So in my case, it is Geometer 5.3 bin and S01 pet store. So hit open and click on submit. So once you submit, what will happen is this particular script will be uploaded to the S3 bucket, and then it will immediately start running your test. So submitting means you are starting the test. And here you can see the test details. Each test will have an ID, unique ID, the name, whatever you gave, description, and you can download the script. And then you can see the task count, concurrency, all the details you can see here. And there is a button to refresh. So what will happen is whenever the relevant minimum metrics available, then it will display the graph here. Meanwhile, what we can do is we can see the progress in the ECS console. So just hit on the Amazon ECS console, and this will open the ECS section, ECS service, and here you can see there are 2 tasks are running in the Fargate. And if you hit on the task, again you can see the details like the resource, image name, resource name, environment stuff, logs. So everything you can see in the ECS console. And if you want to see the metrics, what you can do is you can just click on the CloudWatch metrics, where you can see the response time, everything in the CloudWatch console. But the data will be available only after 2 to 3 minutes. It will not be available immediately. So what you can do is, meanwhile, we can just check it out, the logs. So if you go to ECS task, you can click on the view logs in CloudWatch. So this will display the log for your test. So whatever the logs is getting generated, you can see it in the CloudWatch. So right now it is still loading. Okay, so as you see, the S3 bucket name, test ID, test type, and again it is running the test now. You can see that our CLI started with config, everything you can see. And if you go back to the console, web console, if you hit refresh, again I think we have to wait for a couple more seconds or a couple more minutes, because the task runner, it will launch as a batch basically. So it will launch as every 10 batches. So it will take 1 or 2 minutes to see the metrics in the dashboard. So meanwhile, what we can do, we can go to EC2. So just hit on EC2 and make sure you are in the same region as the CloudFormation template where you triggered. So EC2, again, nothing here because we are not leveraging EC2, I guess. So instead we are using the ECS stuff, the Docker stuff. So let me go to ECS console here, and we can see any ECS instances are spinned up or not. So right now there is no ECS2 ECS instances, but we can see the task is currently running. Okay, now let us go back to the console and see whether something is coming up here or not. Again, no. So it kind of little frustrated because as a performance tester, we would like to see the results at least 30 seconds, right? But in this framework at this moment, I don't think it is possible. Probably we can raise an issue in the GitHub repo and see whether the team can fulfill that request or not. Okay, let us go back to CloudWatch, whether we can see any data we are getting or not. Again, yeah, we can see one data point here, average response time. So now let us go back to the web console and hit refresh. Something should come up here eventually. Again, there is no elapsed time here. So there is no timer running, so you do not know whether it's actually running or not. Also, if any errors, again you have to go inside the ECS and see the logs in CloudWatch. So this is kind of it's lacking a lot of stuffs. But here we can see the logs, 5 virtual users, everything you can see clearly. But it is taking some time to propagate here. Might be a defect. I'm not sure. Probably let us wait for 1 more minute. Okay, now I got it. So probably this one will come only after the test is done, I guess. So because it says the real-time average response time can be monitored using the CloudWatch. So let us wait to be completed. The test could be completed. So instead what we can do is we can just hit refresh here. And also you cannot get the transaction response time. So it will give you only the sampler response time. So you cannot identify which transaction took more time. So that is also not possible. So let us see how it displays in the web console. So the test is done, I guess. As you see, the task count is 0 of 2 and running count is 0. So which means the test is done. Let us hit refresh continuously here. And if you are in luck, we will get the data in the console. Okay, now the test is done. As you see, it is displaying the results, average response time of all the requests, bandwidth, connection time, latency, success count, error count, everything. But here you don't see the actual transaction basically. So it will give you the overall response time for all the requests. So that is, again, it will not be much useful for us because we want to measure the performance as a transaction, not the request. Again, here I don't see the request name or transaction name, nothing, just a runtime, average, 100 percentile, 99 percentile, 95 percentile, everything. So this is totally will not be useful, much useful, but I don't know the audience. If you're happy with this, then you are fine. But a typical tester, this is not I expect when I try to analyze my results. So now what we can do is we can go to S3 bucket and see what and all things we have in our S3 bucket. So go to services and click on S3 and make sure the S3 bucket doesn't have region. It should be global, so don't worry about that. So just sort by date, and here you can see our bucket names, Geometer-AWS. So these are our buckets. So just click on the scenarios where you can see the test scenarios in the format of JSON, and you can see the results and public stuffs. So this is our ID, basically M0UD. So if you go to your web console, you can see the ID. So this is how you identify your respective folders in the S3 bucket. So here you can download the stuffs, and then you can take it offline, and you can keep it for your reference. So even if you're deleting the stack, what will happen is this particular information will be available because it will not delete the S3 buckets, but all the resources with respect to ECS and everything will be deleted. So make sure after you implement this, make sure you're deleting, otherwise you will be get billed based on the usage, because it keeps on running, so it will take your money. So overall, this particular solution is not, again, it's not fully matured enough for the production deployment, I would say. But if you have a simple URL, definitely you can do, and spin up these instances, run it up to 10,000 concurrent users, and delete the stack, you are good. But again, as a performance tester, I do not get the full value from this framework. Only if you have a simple stuff, you can do that. But if you have a medium or complex stuffs, then it will not be useful. You can opt for other solutions or JMeter on cloud for your testing purpose. So that's it for my guys. If you have a question, please let me know. I will put all the relevant links in the description. Please check it out, and please join QA Insights community. And last, stay safe and wear a mask in public. Thank you. Have a good day.
If you like